Hi students, welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to be talking about sharing using ratios. Sharing, dividing, splitting, it's all the same thing. So today's objective is to learn how to share quantities according to given ratios. Alright, so we're presented with a problem. And we are to share the donuts between Pat and Nancy in the ratio 2 to 1. So remember, we use ratios when we're talking about parts. So in other words, Pat should get 2 equal parts and Nancy should get 1 equal part. This is saying for every 2 donuts Pat gets, Nancy should get 1. So let us see how we would do such a problem. Pat gets 2, Nancy gets 1. For every 2 Pat gets, Nancy gets 1. For every 2 Pat gets, Nancy gets 1. So here we can see that Pat got 2 equal parts and Nancy just got 1 equal part. Alright? So in all, what's the total number of parts here? We can identify that there are 3 total parts. And so we divided up the ratio. We divided up the number of donuts, in the ratio 2 to 1. Nancy got 2 equal parts. Pat got 2 equal parts of the donuts. And Nancy got 1 equal part, 1 part. Let's think of a mathematical approach to solve these problems. Suppose you're presented with some quantities that is more than the 9 donuts in the previous example. We have to take a mathematical approach. And this is what we do. The first thing, find the total number of parts by adding the parts in the ratios. Alright, so remember a ratio consists of 2 numbers that compares 2 different parts. Right. So we're going to find the total number of parts and add them. Alright, then we're going to express each part as a fraction of the total. What do we mean by this? We're going to see more in the example that's coming up next. And finally, we're going to multiply the fraction by the being shared. So let us apply those steps to this problem. We're going to split 50 sweets in the ratio 9 to 1. How do we do that? Step 1, we find the total number of parts by adding the parts in the ratios. How many parts do we have in all? It has to be 10. 9 plus 1 equals 10. The two numbers in the ratio, 9 and 1, of course. The second step, express each part as a fraction of the total. So we're going to express it as a fraction. So the part, we're going to write 9 over 10, right? So it's 9 parts out of the total 10 parts for the first number in the ratio. And the second number in the ratio will be 1 part out of the total 10 parts. Very good. Then we're going to multiply the fraction by the amount that's being shared. Then we solve. So here we're multiplying by 50 because we're sharing 50 sweets. So instead of getting 50 sweets and sharing it out, we're just going to use the mathematical approach, right? So of course, we're going to simplify, and we're going to simplify by canceling or dividing through by 10. The number at the bottom divides into the number at the top there. All right. So 10 into itself goes 1, and 10 into 50 goes 5 times. We're going to do the same thing. for the next number. All right. Then what do we have left? We have a 9 at the numerator, because remember, 50 is the same thing as saying 50 over 1. So this 5 is considered to be in the numerator. And this 9 here, we multiply 9 times 5. And the same thing for the next problem here. And we are left with one part being 45 sweets. All right. And the other being, right. Now, let us look on the second problem. We are going to divide 56 kilograms in the ratio 2 to 5 to 1. Now, this ratio has 3 parts. In the previous example, we had 2. Now we have 3 parts. We are going to follow the same steps, all right? Find the total number of parts by adding the parts. That's what we did for step 1. For step 2, we're going to express each part as a fraction of the total. All right? So 2 parts to 5 parts to 1 part. Then we're going to multiply each fraction by the amount. And then that's being shared, and then we solve. And that's what we're going to do here. All right? And then we work each fraction, each problem individually. So we're going to simplify. We're going to say, okay, 8 into itself goes 1 times, and 8 into 56 goes how many times? 7. Awesome. And we're going to do the same thing for the others. Remember, the number at the bottom divides into the number at the top. The denominator divides into the numerator across from it. All right? And the next step is we multiply with what is left. All right, so we multiply numerators. So in this case, we multiply the 2 with the 7. Obviously, the multiplication sign is here. And so we are left with that. Do the same thing, 5 times 7 and 1 times 7. And those are the answers. So the part, the section that's divided into 2 parts, that would value 14 kilograms. The section that's divided into 5 parts, that would value 35 kilograms. And the section that's divided into 1 part, that would value 7 kilograms. And this is how we use ratios to divide quantities. All right? All right, students, take care.